So Mugler's masculine men's fragrances. Who's a fan of them? Are you? Today I'm going to talk about 21 of Mugler's most masculine fragrances. In fact, these are almost all targeted to men. There are 3 unisex targeted. One is the Cologne, of course, that men do love, and then a few from the Less Exceptions collections. But the remainder is all the Pure series and the Alien Man series. So if you want to find out about these fragrances, I'm not ranking them today. I decided not to rank them, but I'm giving you the whole timeline. Then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. That's right, today I'm talking about Mugler men's fragrances with a few unisex fragrances that are masculine leaning. And as I said, those are the Cologne, which I know men do love that fragrance. I love it. It's a clean, soapy fragrance. Then a few from the Less Exceptions collections that I wanted to fit in here that also I feel like are very masculine for men to wear. So I'm going to tell you all of these fragrances, one of my favorite designer houses. In fact, I feel like when I'm doing this video, I realize that out of all the designers, I have the most fragrances from Mugler. Go figure. I love the smells of these fragrances. I find them unique, but there are some negative ones. There's some bad ones here. I'm going to tell you which ones they are as we come up to them. But before we do all that, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So yesterday I did my top 5 women's fragrances from Mugler, feminine fragrances, which I featured Angel. Angel came out in 1992. It wasn't until 4 years later that Angel Men, which became Amen, came out. But in that video I also featured Angel Muse, Alien, Womanity, and Aura. So those are the 5 fragrances that I ranked yesterday. But today I'm not ranking them per se. I'm actually doing a timeline because it's a little more complicated to rank these. And I'll tell you when I'm talking about each fragrance which one I like better and which one I like least, all that good stuff. And we're going to get started right away with this one. Brand new bottle of Amen that I have, and I still have a bottle of Angel Men here. This is the original Angel Men. I don't know if you can see the bottom there. It says Angel Men, but it has now become Amen. How different are they? Oh my God, they are so different. They are really, really different. This is the first time I've bought Amen for a long time. A long time. And even though this has the similar smell to the original when it came out in 1996, it doesn't last or perform anything like it used to. Anything. So this came out in 1996. It's an Oriental woody fragrance. It's created by Jacques Huclier. Keep his name in mind because his name comes up with a lot of these fragrances. It's considered an Oriental woody fragrance, and it features caramel, coffee, patchouli, vanilla, honey, milk, tonka, benzoin, lavender, mint, and amber. It is like a concoction of so many gourmand notes and woody notes and aromatic notes. Of course, it's got milk too. It's a very, very unique fragrance. I was obsessed with this fragrance. I wore so many bottles of it. Started out in 97, not the year it came out, but a year after. But when it came out, I was already like obsessing over the way Angel smelled. So this was my alternative to get Angel because I loved it so much from smelling the ladies that wore Angel, but I wanted a men's version and it satisfied me. But this one was a lot harsher. It was like a really hard smell. It didn't have the sparkly effervescent quality of the original ladies Angel. It was just a strong, in your face, slightly I wouldn't call it animalic, but the woody notes in here, there's a little bit of like a rubbery kind of gasoline-like, tar-like smell in here, which I remember being very prominent. It's not my, well, it is kind of in here. I just don't get the density of the original fragrance. So would I rank this in the top 5 now? I don't think I would rank this in the top 5, but man, I was obsessed with the smell. I wore it for so many years, and until Mugler Cologne came out, I was like, you know what, this was my come down fragrance. You know, I've been on a high of perfume, an overload of beast mode designer fragrances like this one. I need something clean now to kind of like relax and you know, relax my nose. Anyway, Mugler's Amen is the one that launched the very first men's fragrance or men's fragrances for Mugler, and then from then on it became non-stop flankers. So I also want to mention before we move forward, this is going to be a longer video. Sorry I didn't mention it before, but if you are opposed to long videos, maybe you can stop watching, or maybe speed up the video, or maybe, you know, skip ahead. All right, number 2 fragrance is that unisex fragrance, because they didn't launch, Mugler didn't launch any men's fragrances until 2004 after Amen. Amen came out in 96, and then I'll tell you which one is the next one after this, but after this they did launch a men's fragrance. This was a unisex offering. It's a great freshie. This is not the original, it was in a different bottle. I wore so many bottles of that, and I gave it as gifts to my dad. Even though at the time I didn't consider this a unisex, I thought it was more of a male fragrance, so I gave it to dad. I didn't give it to mom. Does that make sense? I gave my mom a Angel, but I even gave my mom Angel Innocent, but I gave this one to my dad. I don't think I ever gave this one to my dad. I didn't think he would like this one for some reason, but my mom totally digs Alien, but Angel. But this one is a great soapy freshie with Neroli, Orange Blossom, and what else is there? Musk, Petitgrain. So all those very soapy clean notes from the citrus plant or tree. This is a 2003 release. It's created by Alberto, very famous perfumer. Jacques Huclier is also pretty famous. He's done a lot of fragrances, but I feel like Alberto Morillas is even more famous. This was created because Thierry Mugler, I guess he had smelled some soap and he wanted to recreate the smell of that soap. It is soapy, obviously. And the brand used to be known as Thierry Mugler because it was Thierry Mugler, the fashion designer, who this brand is named after, but I think he's parted ways from Mugler, or maybe he's still creative director, or he has some say in the fragrances. I'm not 100% sure what he's doing. But it used to be called Thierry Mugler, and then it's now Mugler. But this was one of the fragrances he wanted. And I think he kind of put in a lot of his creativity behind the original fragrances, but I think later on, I think he did not do any of the creativity. But this is a great freshie. I wore it at a gym. I had just started going to a very fancy gym here in San Francisco when this was launched. So I not only wore it at the gym, I wore it after a shower, a clean, soapy kind of smell. Gym fragrance or after gym fragrance. It's a great fragrance, freshie. The other thing I want to mention is they rebranded it probably 2-3 years ago, and they have launched multiple variations of different fragrances in this Cologne series. So I think they launched 5 with this, then they launched 2 more a year or 2 later. So there's probably 7 of these fragrances. But this is the one I'm talking about today because I feel like this is the original. Came out in 2003. This is Mugler Cologne. Great fragrance. It's a lighter fragrance, not like any of the fragrances from the collection, but it's a great freshie, perfect for summer. The other thing I want to mention, as I was saying earlier, it was my come down fragrance after this, being, you know, wearing it so much. This was a nice change of pace from the intense fragrances. It's funny because once I started wearing this, I kind of switched over to wearing a lot of Jo Malone because I kind of had felt a burnout from intense fragrances, but I certainly came back. So the next fragrance that Mugler launched for men is Be Men, this one right here. So I have the metal flask bottle, and this is my last remaining bottle in here. I've kept it really nice and cold in a cold, dark place here in the studio. And what I loved about this one is I bought it at Nordstrom's in the 2000s. It came out in 2004, as I said, and it was right out when I bought it. But you know, Nordstrom, I want to mention or point out that they had a lot of the Mugler flankers for men. I wouldn't ever see them at Macy's here in San Francisco. Actually, our Macy's didn't even carry it until probably towards the end of 2000s, the Mugler brand fragrances. It was always at Nordstrom's, or I don't even think I saw them at Sephora. So it was a little hard to get Mugler fragrances. But Be Men, I bought it from Nordstrom's, and I was buying it because I love the way it smells, because it was different than the original Mugler Amen, but unique enough for me to you know, have this one at a time when I wasn't really like obsessed with a lot of perfumes. I didn't have a big collection, and I was in need of a new fragrance, and this dissatisfied. Because also I was planning a trip to New York City. I spent a whole Christmas there in Times Square at the W Hotel there one winter. It was a great trip. It snowed, and this at the time was so intense, and it worked great for me. And so this is a 2004 release, and it's an Oriental woody again. Jacques Huclier is a perfumer again, and it's considered, yeah, I said Oriental woody. Spices, licorice, patchouli, anise, vanilla, leather, cedar, violet, vetiver, musk. Really obsessed with the way it smells, because I feel like licorice, anise has a slight boozy quality, and it's gourmand, it's Oriental, it's woody. It was a really delicious concoction. Is it a flanker of Amen? I'm not sure. It's B-Men. It's in the series, sort of. It was in a, you know, greenish bottle like this, and I love the red star, as you can see. So I was obsessed with this one. This one had become my favorite after I was burnt out on Amen, and I really enjoyed wearing it. And I love the fact that it had, like I said, the booziness, the Oriental qualities of what I was used to with Amen, or the Mugler fragrances so far. And again, once I was wearing all that freshy stuff from Cologne and Jo Malone, I kind of wanted a change, you know. I wanted something intense. Knowing I was going to New York City, I wanted something strong and something that would last longer. Even though it's Eau de Toilette, it was kind of intense, and it was perfect for that trip. And then I wore several bottles of it, and to this day I think it was a flop for Mugler. I don't know if the current generation likes that smell of licorice or anise and things like that, but I really do love it, and it smells great here. So this is Mugler's B-Men. Another thing I want to mention is that I might not have every single one of the fragrances that Mugler launched for men, but I have as much as I can. So this next fragrance is a launch from 2007. It's called Ice Men, this one right here. So this one was known as iced coffee for some odd reason, because there are coffee-like qualities here, and I think there is a light coffee note listed as well. It doesn't say who the perfumer is here. It's a woody aromatic fragrance because it is a lighter take on the Mugler DNA. I feel like this is like an Amen flanker, more of an actual flanker of Amen to smell like Amen, but a lighter, more slightly coffee-like quality. And it's a great scent. You have the patchouli in there. You have some of the qualities of the original Amen, and you've got patchouli, nutmeg, woody notes, coffee. I don't see any citruses listed, but I feel like there is a citrus something in here because it is a lighter take on the original. It was a great scent. I loved it, and I wore so much of it that I kind of got tired because I'm always looking for something different. So this is what's left. I used to have a small bottle, and I kind of run out of that, and then I bought this one because I knew that it was getting discontinued, and I eventually wanted to buy one to have as a backup. So this was purchased around 2012 or 2013, and this is how much I have left. And again, it's a great scent. I love the Mugler original Amen fragrance, and it was a nice change from the original Amen to smelling the Iceman, and to, you know, appreciate that smell in a lighter form. Anyway, this is Mugler Iceman, a great scent. I wish I knew who the perfumer is. It could be Jacques Huclier again, because he was working on the other two fragrances minus the Cologne, but I couldn't figure out who the perfumer is. Iceman had this coffee-like quality, which was launched in 2007. So what Mugler did was launch Pure Coffee in 2008, a year after Iceman came out. So this one was actually focusing on the coffee note with that Amen DNA. So it had this kind of like black dark coffee note with patchouli, musk, vetiver, and cedar note, and it's a great flanker, a coffee Mugler Amen kind of a DNA thing, which I really love. It's a great one. This is the one that I also saw at Nordstrom, because Nordstrom was putting out these, or selling this brand. To this day, I think they still sell a lot of Mugler fragrances. In fact, they sell the Les Exceptions collection, the unisex luxury collection from Mugler. Never seen it in store here in San Francisco. I've seen it at a few other Nordstroms, but they do have them online. But again, a great flanker, I feel like. It's a great coffee scent. I love it. It's a Oriental woody, created by Jacques Huclier again, and it's focusing on coffee. One thing I forgot to mention, and I'm going to remember things as I'm doing this video, if you notice the notes of a lot of these fragrances, they take a lot of notes from the original Amen. So coffee was listed in Amen, but caramel was more of a dominant note there. Here, the coffee is the star of the show. It's what's dominant. That's why it's called Pure Coffee. Anyway, Pure Coffee from 2008 is a great fragrance that came right after Iceman. I don't think there was any fragrances in between. There might be 1 or 2 or 3 Mugler men's fragrances that I'm missing in this whole entire video. So there he goes. Anyway, this nice succession from Iceman to Pure Coffee. So moving on to the next fragrance that in 2009 I think came out, one of the most successful flankers from Mugler, that's Pure Malt. Pure Malt is a great fragrance. Something of this fragrance happens with me. I don't know if it's their reformulation, because designer houses are always, well, any brands they're always reformulating fragrances, and sometimes I kind of fall out of love with this one. It starts smelling kind of cheap, and then I come back to it and it smells great. It could also be my chemistry, my nose, whatever's happening, but I still think this is one of the best flankers of Mugler's Amen series. Pure Malt is great, came out in 2009. I don't see a perfumer listed for this one. It could totally be Jacques Huclier, but it's considered an Oriental woody. Again, it's boozy. It's a boozy take on the original Mugler Amen. Is it really a flanker? Is it using some of the notes from Mugler's Amen? It does use the patchouli, it does use the coffee, it does use the vanilla. Maybe even amber was prominent in Amen, but it has loads of barley and loads of peat and whiskey with fruity notes. So for me, the fruity notes in here, it doesn't say they're dried fruits, it's more like dried fruits rather than fresh fruits, but I guess it could be a nice balance of both of them. But it's a great designer scent. Probably one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time, especially in the 2000s, in the last 20 years. That have been launched. It's a great scent. I think it still smells great, and it's a wonderful boozy concoction. Gourmand, and even though it's men targeted, I think it's unisex enough for women to wear as well. Anyway, that's Pure Malt from Mugler, which came out in 2009. So this next one is sort of a similar flanker to Iceman, and it's this one. It's a SUNESSENCE. Mugler SUNESSENCE Orage d'été is what it's called. Completely different than Iceman, but similar at the same time. Does that make sense? So this came out in 2010. This is all I have left of this, and I bought this from TJ Maxx just a long time ago, like over 10 years ago. No, not over 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And I really was obsessed with it because once again we have similar kind of fragrance to Iceman, but it was just a very fresh, citrusy kind of a take on the Mugler DNA, this time with spices added in, a little more boosting of woody notes compared to this one, and minus the coffee. But you know, I think there was coffee in this as well. There's loads of spices, there's a coffee-like quality. I think it's a coffee-like quality in here. So in comparison to both, I did prefer Iceman over this, but I like the change because they did have some different changes. One other thing I forgot to mention, here's another thing. A lot of these flankers sometimes were limited edition, and they also had women's version. I know they had a SUNESSENCE flanker for a women's fragrances from Mugler as well. So this is the men's version, obviously. So in the end, a great scent. I loved it. I liked the change of the original Amen and enjoyed that particular flanker for Amen, which came out in 2010. And then the next one is probably my favorite flanker of all time from Mugler. It's a toss-up with Pure Malt, but this is Pure Havane. It came out in 2011. And Pure Havane is a great scent. To this day, it still smells great. Does it perform as good as it used to? I'm not 100% sure, but as a smell, it's fabulous. It's an Oriental vanilla fragrance, or Oriental fragrance, I would call it. Maybe a tobacco, because it has tobacco. Jacques Huclier is a perfumer again, as I said. Remember, keep that name in mind, I said, because he has created most of these flankers. A great perfumer, I think. And again, 2011. What are the notes? Honey, tobacco, vanilla, cacao, patchouli, amber, styrax. Once again, they're taking different notes from Amen, and they're boosting up something, and then they're calling it, you know, the coffee, or they're calling it the Havane for the tobacco, or the malt for the whiskey. But this one is so good. This is a really, really great fragrance. Very unisex, even though it's for men. This is a great scent. There are fruity, cherry-like qualities with the tobacco. I think there's tonka beans in here, even though they're not listed. But it smells fantastic. The honey and the tobacco together are great, and it smells great. When I had first bought these two, Pure Malt and Pure Havane, I don't know where I put Pure, here it is. I actually took them to Italy, like back in 2011, I think is when I first bought them. I think it was 2011, it could be a little earlier, and I took them on a winter trip to Italy, and I wore them that whole trip because that's all I took is Pure Havane and Pure Malt, and they smelled great in the winter time because, you know, at the time the reformulations hadn't really happened too much or too extreme, and they had some depth to but they still do have depth to the fragrances, but I feel like they've kind of gotten watered down a little bit, especially Amen, because Amen is so thin right now compared to the original, but these still are still held up, and they smell great in the winter time, and there's warmth to them. They're cozy, comfy, and I love that about them. Anyway, Pure Malt, of course, that came out in 2009, but Pure Havane is 2011. A great, great scent from Mugler. I love it. Okay, so this next fragrance was called something, but everybody called it something else. This is Mugler's A Taste of Fragrance for men, because they had the Taste of Fragrance in a couple of other women's fragrances. This is the men's version, but this was also called Pure Chili because it featured a dominant chili note, or a prominent chili note. When I first bought this fragrance, I had mail ordered it because I couldn't smell it anywhere. I was like, oh my god, that is one of the sexiest fragrances I have ever smelled. Around that time, I had gotten into Hotel Costa candles, and I thought, oh my god, this reminds me of those candles because it smells great. But what I like about this one, I couldn't figure out who the perfumer is. It's considered an Oriental woody. 2011 is the launch. Coffee, chili, or chili pepper, vanilla, patchouli, tonka beans, coriander, cedar, lavender, mint, bergamot. A really, really tasty concoction of notes inspired by food and eating, I think is what it's called, the Taste of Fragrance. La Goutte d'Or, I think, is the French translation. I could be wrong, but a great, great flanker that got, you know, not discontinued quickly. I shouldn't say. I think it was a limited edition. So it was here for a while, and then it was at discounters, and then it was gone. But a great one. But it was very, very spicy with the chili pepper. It smells great. And if you like chili pepper and fragrances, this is something you should check out if you can still get your hands on it. Anyway, A Taste of Fragrance for Men by Mugler is a great scent from 2011. So this next one I think is the most daring fragrance from the whole entire Mugler Men's Pure Amen series. This is Pure CUIR, Pure Leather. Man, it's an animalic fragrance too. I don't know how successful this was, and this was also a very unique texture. It's a leathery texture for the rubber flask. So no perfumer listed. It's considered a leather fragrance because it is a full-on, in-your-face leather, loads of it. 2012 is when it was launched. Leather, caramel, patchouli, coffee, honey, vanilla, mint, tonka or tonka beans, milk, benzoin, amber, musk, lavender, and sandalwood. Loads of things happening. I have probably 1/3 of my fragrance left, and it is the most daring of the whole entire series of fragrances from Mugler because it was animalic. The leather in here is animalic, and for a designer release in 2011 for men, I thought it was pretty daring because when you have something like Pure Malt and Pure Havane, which is sweet and gourmand, this was completely like a dark child from the corner that would not come out because it likes its darkness. For a designer, I feel like it was a very, very daring, very animalic, because when you wear it, the animalic parts about the leather come out, and very unique because it's combined with all the gourmand notes, of course, caramel and coffee and honey and milk. Very, very interesting fragrance. I don't know how well this did, but I enjoyed it. But a little goes a long way for an eau de toilette. It's really, really intense fragrance. So that's Pure CUIR, or Pure Leather, from Mugler, which came out in 2012. So this next one originally was called Pure Shot. Came out in 2013, later renamed Pure Energy because of that controversy with the spokesperson of this fragrance, who actually shot and killed his girlfriend. Pure Shot or Pure Energy. I have the Pure Energy version. I don't think I ever got the Pure Shot version. I wanted it because of what it was, but also because I kept, on my travels to France, I would smell this fragrance and I would really enjoy what it smelled like. It's considered an Oriental woody fragrance. 2013 is the launch, but it has a very, very aromatic and spicy juniper berries note with mint and patchouli and sequoia. It's a woody note, sequoia tree. I went to a high school called Sequoia. Black pepper and cardamom. And so it was fresh, refreshing, spicy, energetic, energizing. Pure Shot, you know, obviously it had to change to Pure Energy, but you know, I don't know if I like Pure Shot. I like Pure Energy. It reminds me of a song from the 80s, but Pure Shot, I don't know. Shooting somebody. Either way, I don't know what you guys prefer. I wish I had the Pure Shot version because of that controversy, but it's fine. This is, a lot of these are discontinued also. If you guys don't know, if you can get your hands on them, do. But this was a great alternative with its slight DNA of Amen for a Mugler fragrance, and I really enjoyed it. It was a later discovery. I decided not to get it right away because I couldn't find it any place, you know, to go smell it at the time. And so on my travels, when I was traveling in Europe, that's when I smelled it and I was like, okay, I gotta get me a bottle. And at a time it was pretty discounted, but now I think it's really hard to find. Anyway, Pure Energy from 2013. Okay, this next one is Pure Wood. This one right here from Mugler. So this is actually a really, really nice flanker. It's a woody flanker, woody take. I mean, basically what they've done is they've toned down the gourmand touches and they've amped up the woody touches, and they've it's considered an Oriental woody. I couldn't find who the perfumer is, but most likely Jacques Huclier again. 2014 launch. It's oak, vanilla, coffee, patchouli, and cypress. So it's very, very woody concoction with that woody, earthy patchouli, you know, some sweet vanilla note and oak. Oak tends to go slightly boozy if they are using oak barrels to age liqueur. So I don't know, this doesn't have too much of a boozy quality because you kind of get the booziness from pure malt, but there was some light hints of booziness in here anyway. But it was overall a great woody take on the original Amen, which I really enjoyed, but sadly a lot of these got discontinued. And I also like this because the texture was like a woody texture. If you have never seen this bottle or, you know, whatever, flask or whatever. One thing I forgot to mention, these were originally like flasks, and this is actually a flask. It has a little place in the bottom here. I could use a coin to turn around and open up and take out the bottle out of there. But a lot of these older bottles don't come apart. The newer ones do come apart, like this. But I don't like these bottles. I never was a fan of these bottles. I was a fan of the, you know, these bottles that you can take out and take apart, but the new bottles are kind of not good. Anyway, Pure Wood is a great flanker, a great alternative to the original Amen. If you haven't tried it and you can get a bottle, I highly recommend it. It's a great, great scent. And one thing I did not discuss about today is the whole L'Oreal thing. For the longest time, Mugler was under Clarins Group along with Azzaro, but last year it was announced that Azzaro and Mugler were being taken over by L'Oreal. I don't think Clarins wanted to be a distributor for these two brands anymore because I think they want to focus on their own skincare and whatever fragrances they have. And so now they're under L'Oreal, and L'Oreal, man, owns every brand, and I hope they do some interesting things. I hope they change the bottles for men because I'm needing some new bottles. I don't even like the alien bottles for men. I need some great bottles. Plus I want some EDPs. Let's make some fragrances for men that are EDPs. Make an EDP of Pure Malt. Make an EDP of Pure Havane. Make an EDP and bring back Ultra Zest in an EDP. I don't know. Make some unique things for us so we can enjoy. Anyway, the next fragrance is from the collection, Les Exceptions collection, and this is a Fougère Furice. I think that's how you say it. This is a Fougère, obviously, and Fougère fragrances, of course, are utilizing notes of aromatic notes of lavender and things like that. But this one doesn't have lavender listed in the notes. It's got oak moss, green notes, geranium. Geranium's typically found in aromatic fougères, tonka beans, neroli, amber, and fern note. It says fern note for a note. I don't I don't know, I think it's an accord probably created to smell like a fern, because fougère basically means a fern in French. This one's created by Jean-Christophe Hérault, who comes up in later fragrances for one fragrance for Alien, and then also he created this with Olivier Polge, who later went to work as the in-house perfumer for Chanel. So the collection, when it started, is great. I love a few of these fragrances, and this one actually is a great fougère, and in a Mugler style. It's not an overwhelming and deep and rich fragrance, but I like what you smell here. It's a great scent for what you get. So that's why I wanted to include this. Even though it's unisex targeted, I feel like fougères are definitely on the masculine side and for men to wear. That's why it's here. Fougère Fleurisse from the House of Mugler. One of my favorite flankers comes out. This is Ultra Zest from Mugler's Amen. It's Amen Ultra Zest. Why do I like this one so much? This one actually is created by two perfumers. It's created by Jacques Huclier and Quentin Biche, who has one more fragrance here? Probably not. He did a woman's fragrance called Angel Muse. But this actually, it smells so fresh and juicy with that blood orange note and the clementine note, or I think it's a tangerine note from what I remember. But it has that DNA of Amen in there with the coffee, the tonka beans, the vanilla. There's some woody touches. There's mint, which was also in Amen. There's black pepper, and then there's also something here that is not present in Amen, ginger, which adds this really, really unique contrast to that blood orange note. I felt like it was Amen to wear in the summertime and not feel, you know, weighted by it, even though now Amen is totally doable in the summertime. It's not overwhelming whatsoever. It's so light and weak. Unfortunately, it's sad about that. But this felt like a great alternative, a juicy, you know, citrusy, blood orangey, slightly zingy take on the original Amen, which really, really was a great scent. It got discontinued too fast, or maybe it was not even discontinued, it was a limited edition, but whatever it is, they should bring it back because it's great. That is Mugler's Amen Ultra Zest. And the next fragrance is also from the Less Exceptions collection, and this is Queer Impertinent, this one right here. And this is considered a leather. So this one is a great boozy leather. It's got loads of star anise in here, and this is created by Jean-Christophe Hérault. I was wrong. I think he created this, and then also he created the original, this one right here, Alien Man. And come to think of it, now that I'm smelling the two, they do have reminders of one another because both are kind of on the licorice-y side. So this is Queer Impertinent. It's a leather that starts off boozy, licorice-y, dries down to a tobacco-ish leather. Launched in 2015. A great, great scent. Again, if you like licorice, if you like boozy notes, if you like anise and leather all combined together, I do highly recommend this one from this collection. I don't think it gets a lot of talk, but this is one of the solid releases there, especially if you like boozy notes and licorice and anise and leather all combined. So that's Queer Impertinent from 2015. And then in 2016, Pure Tonka came out. This one right here. And Pure Tonka is created by Jacques Huclier, once again, the original creator of Amen from 1996. And this is an Oriental Woody. And this one smells so good, guys. I recently featured it in my Tonka Beans fragrances video. And you can smell the Tonka Beans. You can also smell coffee here, chocolate, vanilla, and some woody notes. It smells wonderful. It's a great, great scent. It's not overly strong. You know, I was kind of when it first came out, I guess my review would say something like, I'm a little disappointed it was on the light side, but right now I'm appreciating it more because I've come to love the smell and the way it smells on me, and I'm fine with the way sometimes designers give us not so intense fragrances. Now hopefully, you know, L'Oreal will make a more concentrated version of this in EDP because it smells so good, but I'm not sure if that Tonka trend is lingering around here. I don't know. Do you guys love Tonka beans and fragrances? Do you like this one? Do you think it's a great scent? Let me know, put a comment down. I think it's a great scent. It's a great flanker to the Amen, and this time, you know, amplifying the Tonka bean note and making it a fake fragrance focused on this note, along with some of the other typical Muglerish notes. Anyway, Pure Tonka, a great scent from 2016 from the House of Mugler. So guys, there's 6 more left, and I think we're getting to a point where I think Mugler is kind of downward spiral. Should I say that? I don't know if I could say that. But we're going to talk, I'll let you know which ones I'm not really appreciating. This is Crypto Mint, which was launched in 2017. I feel like they came out with such a great fragrance. This one doesn't smell bad. I feel like it could have smelled just a little better to make it as good as Ultra Zest. I like this one, don't get me wrong, I like it. I enjoy the minty take, and mint was originally in the original Amen, so I could see why they would do mint for a whole entire fragrance, but it just kind of was not as good as Ultra Zest, and I shouldn't compare fragrances to other fragrances, but I'm doing it. But this one came out in 2017, Jacques Huclier, once again, it's considered an Oriental fougere. Mint, patchouli, dark chocolate, tonka beans, vanilla, coffee, geranium, clary sage. So it's very aromatic and herbal, but still you got that patchouli, the gourmand notes of dark chocolate. It doesn't smell like those chocolate mint candies. Doesn't. If you think it does, it doesn't. But sort of kind of in that same ballparkish idea, I think. Still, a great scent, don't get me wrong. I just wish it was a little, something was missing, I felt like. But if you like a minty take on the original Mugler Amen DNA, I think this will satisfy. Again, it's not so potent, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, overall it's a great scent. So it's Mugler's Crypto Mint, or Amen Crypto Mint, launched in 2017. In 2018 they launched Alien Man. This one is created by Jean-Christophe Hérault, and it doesn't, when I compare the two together, I was telling you CUIR Impertinent, who was created by Jean-Christophe Hérault, and also Alien Man. When I smell the two, they're a little bit similar, but not a lot. This one seems a lot more concentrated than this one. This is obviously an eau de parfum concentration. Also is a lot more expensive than Alien Man. And Alien Man, a lot of people thought is going to smell similar to Alien for women. It doesn't smell anything like that. It does have a boozy quality from the star anise and the fennel note in here. And it's considered an Oriental woody. 2018 is the launch. But you know what? It kind of doesn't develop. If I'm telling you how much I like this one just a little less than this one, and if it's not comparing to this, then you can see how much I'm not liking this one compared to Amen Ultra Zest, if that makes sense. But I think this is the best one out of all the Alien Man fragrances. I do enjoy Licorice, I do enjoy Anise, so I'm appreciating this fragrance, but I think they could have done something a little different. Plus the sprayers on these bottles are the worst. I mean, if the Pure series fragrances sprayed bad, these even spray worse. I don't understand what the heck they did that, but they are refillable according to but do they sell refills? I don't even know if they sell refills. But anyway, it's a great scent, but it's not like, oh my god, it's so good, you know? It's not one, there are great scents that you don't tell people about, but there are great scents you like tell everybody about, and this is one of the great scents that I don't really tell people about. Does that make sense to you guys? Anyway, this is Mugler's Alien Man from 2018, and then Amen Ultimate came out last year. What a disappointment this is. So I don't get it. There's something very cheap and very mass designer kind of a fragrance a background in this fragrance. There are some unique twists with the mochaccino and the balsam fir, but it kind of goes into a very boring smelling like other designer fragrances category once that mochaccino note wears off. And it was such a disappointment for me that I was like, you know what, you're gonna call this Amen Ultimate, you might want to give us the Ultimate, you give us an EDP. But I think when this was coming out, I feel like Mugler had already started their talks with L'Oreal, and they basically maybe rushed this out. I don't know. I think it's a very disappointing fragrance. I'm not sure what you guys think, let me know, but I was not really happy with this one. It falls flat, and I wanted the original Amen back, but it never really came back. Anyway, that's Amen Mugler Ultimate. So we only have two more fragrances left, and those are both Alien Man flankers. Sadly, so Alien Man Fusion came out in 2019, this one right here, and this was I don't know, it's a flop to me. I don't know how well the Alien series is doing for men. I don't think it's doing very well. This one, I don't know who the perfumer is, but it could be basically taking the DNA from the original Alien, which was created by Jean-Christophe Hérault, and adding these interesting notes in here. This one smells very sharp and metallic to me. For some reason, I don't get a lot of osmanthus, which is what they say is in here. I don't get a lot of coffee. I get lots of aromatic notes that are very sharp and biting. leaning. So it doesn't smell pleasant to me. I can still smell a little bit of the original DNA in here, but as I said, it goes very, very sharp and metallic, and I kind of don't want to wear it. Anyway, that's Mugler's Alien Man Fusion. And last but not least, the release from this year, this is Alien Man Mirage, this one right here. Now this one's a complete failure for me. I don't know how or why they decided to go in this direction, because the Alien Mirage for the ladies smells fantastic. If you like Alien, I should highly recommend you try this one, that one. But this one goes very, very not metallic. The previous one is metallic. This one is very, very aquatic. It says watery notes, mineral notes, juniper, reed, leather, and patchouli. And that reed note, which is a grass that's found on the coast, on the water, I think is giving this fragrance a very, very aquatic smell. There is a sharpness in here, but you know, it's very disappointing. Unfortunately, as you can see, the latter part of the timeline of Mugler's men's fragrances are not as good as what I was experiencing before. Hopefully a new team is there at Mugler now, that they're under L'Oreal, and they're going to give us some great men's fragrances. But those are all my favorite and not so favorite fragrances from the Mugler house. This is a long video, guys. I'm sorry it took long, but this gives you the timeline of all the, not all, but a few missing fragrances from the Mugler house for men. Let me know what's missing if you have been a fan of this house and you have every single fragrance from Mugler. I'd like to find out. I know there's at least one or two, but it could be a total of 3 fragrances that I don't own here from the house of Mugler for men. Not counting the Less Exceptions collections, because I only wanted to put a few of those in there from the more masculine leaning fragrances. But let me know what's missing. Put a comment down so I can find out. Also, let me know, what do you guys think of these fragrances? Have you been a fan of them? Do you like them? Do you have them? Have you bought a men recently? What do you think about it? Do you like the way it smells? Does it smell the same to you? It doesn't smell the same to me. Well, no, it does smell the same to me. It doesn't perform the same to me, sadly. But let me know what your thoughts are, and what do you guys hope for Mugler to do now that they're under L'Oreal? Do you want to see EDPs like I want to see them? Do you want to see new bottles like I want to see them? Or if there's something else? I always thought that they should do a pure oud. They never jumped on the oud bandwagon, although by the time I mean, this was early on. I thought that pure oud should be something that they should come out with, but I think around the time, I think Killian had a fragrance called Pure Oud, so I don't think they would have ever done a pure oud. They did pure wood instead. Anyway, those are all my thoughts today on Mugler's men's fragrances. Again, sorry for this video to be so long. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Please list below. Otherwise, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.